Thank you very much for the support. So, hello everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer for this amazing work and for letting us be part of it. Today, I'm going to present a very dear project that I'm developing with my colleague Aymeric Hermann. And this project was born from discussion we had regarding the problems we were facing when adapting our technological approach to volcanic rocks. Issues reading the material or identifying percussion techniques caused by the lack of reference collection on these raw materials. Next. Both of us deal with basalts in our research fields, East Africa in my case and Central Polynesia in the case of Aymeric. And for this reason, we started working on developing a repository for the technological study of volcanic rock transformation, focusing on rocks with microlithic structure. Next. Volcanic rocks constitute over half of the Earth's surface and are widely present in lithic industries across the globe. In spite of that, very little is known about their mechanical properties when it comes to stone napping. A detailed description of the technical characteristics related to various percussion techniques are still very limited. Next. The main reason that explains this situation and the primary limitation archaeologists face in studying this material is related to the inherent diversity within this family of rocks. Important variations in mineral composition, internal structure, texture, and toughness significantly affect their suitability for napping and influence the technical choices made by nappers. Also, the characteristics associated with different napping techniques may vary. Next. Some previous works have already tackled these issues. For example, in East Polynesia, Paul Cleghorn combined an experimental approach and a standardized mechanical test to measure hardness and tenacity properties of the fine-grained hawaiites from the Mauna Kea quarry in Big Island, Hawaii. And Marian Turner's dissertation focused in assessing the influence of raw materials on New Zealand access manufacturing processes. In the context of East Africa, one cannot forget the work of Pierre-Jean Texier and Hélène Roche on the collection of Ysenia, made on phonolite, that provided the first evidence for the use of organic hammers during the Australian. And more recently, the work of Sophie Clément and Michel Brenet that examine the distinctions between the use of mineral and organic hammers within the same context. These are just few examples, and experimental tests have increased in recent years. However, the results of these works are not often widely disseminated, and the collection are not necessarily accessible. Sorry, I forgot to tell you next. So this is the slide that goes with the presentation of the East African experimental collection. So next. For this reason, and following these previous works, our project addresses the following questions. What are the technical possibilities and limitations offered by microlithic volcanic materials? Do the technical characteristics associated with different percussion techniques vary based on the internal structure of such raw materials? Are there logical connections between density, toughness, texture, and mineral structure that can be used to assess napping properties? And what levels of technical skills are required for the production and maintenance of artifacts such as hand axes, adzes, and other macro tools produced using this family of rocks? If we gain a better understanding of the constraints related to the transformation of these raw materials, we can also better understand the strategies employed by nappers to adapt. To achieve this goal, we study the napping of these materials by analyzing both ethnographic and experimental collection, and we document in detail the technical parameters that are involved such as gesture, techniques, and mapping tools across a wide variety of volcanic rocks. Next. Our project is structured in 3 parts. The first part involves evaluating the mapping suitability of various volcanic rocks and documenting the technical characteristics associated with different mapping techniques. Next. One of the most valuable collections that we have studied is the ethnographic collection of ARCHAEOLOGISTS from the Landes region, collected and documented by Pierre and Marie Petrequin. Their ethnographic survey has provided detailed documentation of the production process of basalt ARCHAEOLOGISTS from raw material acquisition to blade finishing techniques, and the collection of ARCHAEOLOGISTS, along with the associated flakes, was deposited at the Musée d'Archéologie Nationale in Saint-Germain-en-Laye in France. This collection goes along with a monograph and several videos that provide detailed information about aspects such as raw material, procurement methods, blank production, shaping strategies, as well as insights into the status and skills of nappers involved. Next. In addition, we have established collaborations to gain access to experimental collections generated over the past 2 decades. For example, the experimental collection of Gesher Benot Jacob, produced by Bo Madsen and housed at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, and a small collection of ARCHAEOLOGISTS produced on massive flake stored at the University of French Polynesia. Next. Finally, we have conducted our own experimental session using raw materials collected in Central and Southeast France to test a specific hypothesis related to our research fields, but also to enlarge the range of percussion techniques documented. Next. During this week of collective work, we focused on the production of large flakes and the shaping of bifaces, cleavers, and adses using different percussion techniques. Next. At present, we are defining the technical characteristics present on flakes, which can help identify different napping techniques. Each flake is being recorded using standardized parameters in order to conduct a statistical analysis later on to identify associations between specific characteristics and detachment techniques. Here you have some examples of the criteria we have selected. Next. The second part of the project involves the photographic and mechanical characterization of the different raw materials in order to compare the internal structure of the rocks and their suitability for napping. For this purpose, the raw materials are sampled for photographic and mineralogic analysis using 2 methods. One is the classic thin sections that are produced and analyzed in a collaboration with Institut Universitaire Européen de la Mer in Brest, France. Next. And the second is the use of a scanning electron microscope coupled with an X-ray and a portable XRF, which are non-invasive techniques. Next. Finally, we plan to use standardized tests to correlate the assessment of raw material quality during napping sessions with a quantitative approach of hardness properties. This work will be done in collaboration with Eduardo Paixão at the Tracer Lab in Montrepos, Germany, using a lip rebound equipment, again, a measure that is non-destructive, a technique that is not destructive. Next. To conclude, and in order to make our reference collection available to the whole community, we are working on an open access database that will be available online. The idea is to provide a way for archaeologists to work with explicit analytical variables and to document the technical parameters of each experiment in a clear way in order to provide standards and promote comparability. Next. Our main goals are to provide a better understanding of the archaeological use of volcanic raw materials and to establish robust foundation for identifying different percussion techniques. However, a comprehensive understanding of these materials can only be gained through the multiplication of case studies and a detailed documentation of the experimental collection produced. And this work can only be achieved through collaboration rather than relying on a single project. Thank you very much for listening, for your attention, technical support. And I'm so sorry because I know my head is popping up here, so I hope you were looking at my presentation. But this was not here before, so it's very weird. Thank you.